Stone Zone. That's right. Everybody must get stoned with Roger Stone, Trump campaign insider. Roger, welcome back to the program.
Excellent choice of theme music there. Excellent.
Well, everybody must get stoned. Yes or no, Roger Stone? You tell us.
Yes, indeed.
Roger.
I prefer a good vodka martini myself, but proceed.
Well, let me tell you who needs a vodka martini this week, Roger. It's Paul Manafort. Roger, last week you were with us. You told us, hey, it's all good, not a shakeup, just an expansion. What happened with the campaign? What went wrong when Manafort said, I got to go?
I think Donald Trump and Paul Manafort reached the conclusion that the mainstream media is just not going to relent in the continuation of this false narrative that Trump and Manafort are somehow in bed with Russia and Vladimir Putin. And the mainstream media review of Paul Manafort's perfectly legal and fully reported campaign activities in Ukraine was not going to stop, and that this was becoming a distraction. The New York Times, a story on page 1 above the fold that had nothing. It implied wrongdoing by Manafort, but it produces zero evidence. And not wanting to be a distraction and being putting the campaign and Trump first, Manafort resigned. It was not an easy decision. We talked about it several times. I think he's done the right thing. Steve Bannon, who comes into the campaign as the new CEO, is a bomb thrower in the Roger Stone mold, is a good friend of mine. I write for Breitbart News, where he is the publisher. He has published all of my toughest pieces on the Clintons. So he brings to the campaign both a better understanding of the new media, which I believe is crucial, something that was missing, and he knows the deepest recesses of the Clinton oeuvre, if you will, in terms of opposition research. So I don't think that this is going to make much of a sea change, largely because Manafort did what he was brought in to do: bring order out of chaos, build an operation in an organization, a research organization, a research department, a press department, and so on, political State Department, and he leaves the campaign in good shape in that sense.
We're talking to Roger Stone. If you want to speak to Roger, you can at 866-610-6397. Again, that number is 866-610-6397. Roger Stone, a longtime friend of Donald Trump for over 40 years, a veteran of 9 presidential campaigns, and an official advisor on this effort. Roger, one of the other concerns that I certainly have looking at the campaign from the outside, and I know someone who gave a lot of nightmares to the Clinton campaign when it was announced he was coming on board, was one of the pollsters, Tony Fabrizio, the mastermind behind Rick Scott's election and re-election, a feat a lot of folks didn't think was possible. He did it twice. And there are reports this morning that Tony Fabrizio may soon be following Paul Manafort out the door. And with him gone, really the last of the folks with the major presidential campaign experience, is there any concern that some of these more experienced hands leaving mean that Trump may be trying to pack this in a little early or take too big of a risk with Kellyanne Conway and Steve Bannon?
Well, I don't know that Tony Fabrizio and Donald Trump ever meshed from a personality point of view. In my view, Fabrizio is the single best pollster in the Republican Party, maybe the best pollster in both parties. He is tough, he's combative, but more importantly, he shows you how to translate the numbers and the data into a concrete plan of action, something I think most pollsters don't do. They tell you what the problem is or what the opportunity is, but they can't tell you how to capitalize on it. Not so Fabrizio. If Tony decides to leave, that would be to the detriment of the Trump campaign. I see in this morning's paper that Kellyanne Conway is quoted as saying Trump will now act more presidential. Gee, isn't that what Manafort got chewed out for only months ago? So, the circle goes round. I couldn't be higher on Fabrizio. I like Kellyanne, and I like Bannon particularly. I still think the campaign will be in good hands.
Roger, your reaction, a lot of folks said, well, Donald Trump in that move that you just signaled about asking more presidential, that pivot, a lot of people say, was begun with a speech that he made last Thursday where he expressed regret for some of the more personal nature of the commentary that's been made thus far. Yet just this morning, in fact, moments ago, if not an hour or so ago, Donald Trump on Twitter blasted MSNBC morning host Joe Scarborough, hinted at a relationship between him and Mika Brzezinski, seemingly way below the belt of just disagreement. Are we seeing a new Trump? Is this the new Trump, or is this just an old wound that was reopened this morning via Twitter?
Well, I think you know that roughly a week ago, Joe Scarborough reported that some nameless, faceless foreign policy advisor said that while briefing Trump on the major hotspots around the world, Trump's response to each one was, couldn't I just use nuclear weapons to solve this? So, Joe, put up or shut up. Give us a name, because I call BS on this. It never happened. And Joe has no source. If he had one, put the name for it. And without the name, Joe Scarborough is a liar. And he shouldn't be on television if that's the case. So, no, Trump's not going to take cheap shots from people like Joe Scarborough. I don't know anything about his relationship with Mika. I only know you can look at her body language every time Trump's name comes up, and you'll see undiluted hate, which I think, sadly, is really manifest in the mainstream media. I've never seen this kind of hysteria where most media outlets now don't even pretend to be objective.
All right, we're on with Roger Stone, Trump campaign insider. We're in the Stone Zone, everybody, a new feature we hope to have every Monday here on the program through the election. Let's go straight to the phones at 866-610-6397. We've got Ricardo. Ricardo, you are on with Roger Stone.
Good morning, everyone. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Yeah, you guys are absolutely hitting this right. How do you compare the legal activity of Paul Manafort dealing with the Ukraine to the illegal activity of the Clinton Foundation selling our uranium to the Russians? Our uranium deposits are now controlled by Putin and the Russians. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand, why this double entente, this looking at things and just saying, oh, Trump bad, Hillary good. This is crazy. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, I agree with the caller. I mean, if you want to talk about the Ukraine, this is really simple. The billionaire Victor Pinchuk gave $10 million to the Clinton Foundation, and therefore Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, helped topple the duly elected democratic government of Ukraine. You may not have liked Yukounovich, the president, but if that were true, then impeach him or beat him in an election. We removed him, physically removed him, because Pinchuk paid for it. Pay for play. Virtually every dollar that's gone into the Clinton Foundation has come from people who wanted, in most cases, got something for it. So the caller's absolutely right. If anybody has acted illegally in the Ukraine, it would be the Clintons rather than Paul Manafort. Manafort's job was to represent a party. He never represented the government of Russia or Ukraine. His party was a Democratic party. He guided them through two parliamentary elections and one presidential election. Now, Fernand, you've been in this business. Try electing a guy named Kozanowski in a district in Ukraine that has more cows than people. This is not exactly glamorous work. But Manafort managed to move this party from being a new party with nobody in it to being the majority party in 3 election cycles. And he filled out and reported everything as required by law. The idea that he took $12 million in illegal payments, according to a ledger, I'll tell you right now, that ledger was created by Ukrainian intelligence because the government is currently controlled by Victor Pinchuk, who is a crony of the Clintons. This is a canard, but it wasn't going to stop. It isn't going to stop. The highest levels of the New York Times are going to continue to repeat this nonsense. Manafort, being a professional, did what Corey Lewandowski should have done months ago, resigned.
We're on with Roger Stone. When we come back, we're going to ask Roger, what do Colin Powell's recent declarations about Hillary Clinton's server mean for the campaign? Also, Is Donald Trump really trying to rig the election to start a media empire? We'll ask Roger and more of your calls when we come back at 866-610-6397 as we stay in the Stone Zone on News Radio 610 WIOD, the Fernand Amandi Show. Fernand Amandi back on News Radio 610 WIOD as we continue our adventures in the Stone Zone with Roger Stone, one of the masterminds. I've always said masterminds behind not just 9 presidential campaigns, of which he's worked and served on. You heard William Weld just the other day say he was the smartest man in politics. Roger, William telling you dump Trump, come over with the libertarians.
Well, it's nice to be wanted, let me say that.
All right. Roger, we got a lot of folks that want to talk to you. We're going to go back to the phones at 866-610-6397. We've got Dan on the line. Dan, you're on with Roger Stone.
Yeah, hello.
Greetings.
Hello.
Go ahead, Dan. You're on the air, Dan.
Okay, addressing this to Roger Stone, who is truly a South Florida treasure. I've appreciated all his commentary on your show, and I'm glad you will allow him on. What do you think of Hillary's illnesses? And I think she's only out there 3 days a week, and she's recovering like 4 days a week. Trump should be emphasizing this. If this is all she can do while running for president, what's she going to do while she is president if she gets elected?
In my view, this is a valid issue. You may have seen late last week, the spokesman for Hillary Clinton attacked me by name, saying that the entire issue of Hillary's health is a right-wing conspiracy from the conspiracy theorist Roger Stone. I've seen these documents online that purport to be Hillary's medical records. I have no idea whether they're real or not. They didn't come from me, and I know nothing about them. But you don't have to have this in black and white. Simply watch the videos and the photos and listen to those who have seen her and been up close to her. She can barely walk. She very clearly has these seizures. Her head snaps around in a very strange way that I haven't seen since The Exorcist. There's something fundamentally not well about the woman. She does not appear to me to have the stability or the mental clarity or the balance to be president. It's a legitimate issue, and I guess if I were Trump, I'd say the first debate should be 4 hours long. Let's see if she can stand up for 4 hours.
But Roger, assuming she does release her medical records, and that's been the tradition of most presidential campaigns, and she does get a clean bill of health, would then the campaign recognize or admit it was wrong, it was below the belt to go in a direction that counters what the medical professionals are saying?
Not at all, because John F. Kennedy's doctors put out a statement saying he didn't have Addison's disease. But if you look at the autopsy, he had advanced Addison's disease. It's called lying. And you can get any doctor who wants to be the White House physician to do it. So nothing the Clintons put out can be believed. Let your eyes tell you the truth. Take a look at her. Watch her walk. Watch her stand up. Watch her fall down behind the podium. See her being helped up 4 steps of stairs. She's not well. So I would believe my own eyes before I believed any hoped-up, phony medical records that the Clintons put forward.
Roger, speaking of putting it out, Mitt Romney said that his mistake during the last presidential cycle was not for releasing his tax returns, but waiting so late to do so. A lot of pressure on Donald Trump, who talks about his business success. Do you not think it is a mistake in judgment not to put, in the interest of transparency before the American people, his tax returns for public examination and view?
Yes, I think he should release his tax returns immediately.
Wow. Well, there it is. Roger Stone just said it, folks. Roger, another issue that happened late last night. I said on MSNBC I thought this was going to be a problem for the Clinton campaign if it happened. It looks like it's happening. Hillary Clinton mentioned just a few days ago that she told the FBI the reason she set up the private server was because Colin Powell and Madeleine Albright counseled her to do so. Last night, Colin Powell suggested in People magazine that he said no such thing and that the campaign is now trying to dump this and pin this on him. Is this a big problem for the Clinton campaign going forward?
Yeah, I think it is not a big problem, but I think it contributes to the continuing narrative that nothing Hillary Clinton says is the truth. Whether it is being caught under sniper fire at the Bosnia airport, or whether it is being named after Sir Edmund Hillary by her mother, or whether it is claiming that her grandparents were immigrants, or whether it is lying about whether there were top secret classified documents on her server. Literally nothing the woman says is the truth. She's a pathological liar. And I guess she continues this behavior because she's gotten away with it in the past, because the mainstream media does not hold her to the same standard they hold Trump specifically and Republicans in general. And I guess, therefore, she is enabled by the mainstream media because no one calls her on her lies. Let me give you another example.
Actually, Roger, let me get one more call in because somebody does want to get on. Let's go to Alex. Alex, you're on. Make it quick with Roger Stone.
Yeah, Roger. I just want your opinion on this. I've never seen on TV whenever a reporter or somebody or a news person comes out and says that a reliable source within the campaign or the White House. I've never in the history ever known of anyone who's divulged their source. Isn't that sort of a cheap way for the Trump campaign to deflect and say that Scarborough's lying? You guys know that he's not going to divulge his source, so you're just using it as, divulge your source, because you know he's never going to do it. So it's a slam dunk to be able to call him a liar and to not be able to defend himself. That's cheap.
No, Joe Scarborough's not a journalist to begin with. Let's start there. He's a TV talk show host. And it's the cheapest of cheap shots because I know who's on Trump's national security advisory, and there's nobody there who would do this. No, I'm actually saying Joe Scarborough made this up. That's exactly what I'm saying. He doesn't have a source. There is no source. He's being called on it. I don't think that's unfair. Let him produce some level of proof. I don't think he has any.
Roger, we've got about 20 seconds left. Very quickly, if Donald Trump loses, do you anticipate him setting up a media empire to rival Fox News, which is why Roger Ailes is now advising him and Steve Bannon was brought in, yes or no?
Since cable television is on its way out, since the cable networks, other than Fox, are largely not making money, since the internet and the fact that most people get their news on demand from their handheld device, broadcast television is definitely done. ABC, NBC, and CBS will be out of business by the end of the decade. And cable is on its way out because of the expense of the infrastructure. You can go and watch Infowars.com online today. They simulcast with 100 radio stations, and there'll be about 4.5 million people watching. What does it cost to get onto the internet? Nothing whatsoever. That is the wave of the future.
All right. Roger Stone joining us this Monday and every Monday going forward through Election Day. Thanks so much for joining us, Roger, in the Stone Zone.
It's great to be here.
All right, folks. When we come back, we're going to be talking South Florida Zika. We've got Dr. Eileen Marty, the professor for infectious diseases at the FIU.